Okay, let's get started. So we started our discussion with Terraform variables, right? What do you mean by a variable? Is this okay? So what do you mean by a variable? A variable is nothing but a something called as a placeholder, right? Or you can store some value here. Why you are storing value? See, if we have some attributes or we have some variables, AMI ID, instance type, if it comes to key pair, security group, this is for EC2 instance. When it comes to your VPC, CADR block, public subnet, private subnet, there are so many uh, attributes of a particular resource, right? So instead of hard coding these values, instead of directly providing these values, now what we are doing, we are creating something called as a variable. What is the advantage of storing a value inside a variable? You can able to use as many times as you want, store once and use as many times as you want. So that is why we are creating a variable, right? That is the first point. Then comes the point how to create a variable using something called as variable name, then your I don't know what we call this, curly braces, right? Yeah, curly braces. Then description, or some description you can write, and default value you can pass it to this variable, right? So this is how, using this standard syntax, you can able to create a variable, right? And how to refer these values inside your main.tf file using a variable known as var dot your variable name, whatever the variable name you have created, right? In that way, you can able to refer this value. Okay. So now, earlier we used to keep everything, your resource provider, resource, and variables, all these things into one file known as main.tf file. But now what we have done, we have segregated or separated our infrastructure code for modularity or easy of maintenance. Okay, in that case, what we have done, provider and resource in one file, and all the variables I'll keep it in another file, variables.tf. I'll keep it in another file. So in that way, you can easily maintain all the variables, right? And yesterday, Manoj, you asked me one question. I missed it. That the name, can we change this name, or should we use the same name? Yeah, you can change this name. There is no issues. There are no issues. But in best practices, always try to maintain the same name, variable.tf. So it is easy for you to understand. In corporate also, they'll maintain the same name. That's fine. Okay. So that is the next thing. And now, once the infrastructure is created, if I wanted to overwrite, let's say this is my variable.tf file, there is some default value already provided. Now, during a runtime, during runtime or at the time of execution, if you want to change the value, yes, you can change the value. That is using -var variable name. Let's say AMI ID is my variable name and a variable value, some ABC something. So this is how you can override the default value. If you are not providing this value, then what it will do? It will take the default value from your variable.tf. Okay. So till now, this is what we discussed with respect to variables, right? So now, sir, there are some other options. Now using -var, what we have done, we are overwriting this value, right? let's say AMI ID is a one variable. I am overriding this. There is another value, instance type. Again, if you wanted to override, yes, you can pass it as -var. Again, instance type, right? If there is another value, let's say A, and I wanted to override, again, there is another value known as B. See, if there are only few variables that you need to override, this approach of providing the values manually is fine. -var, variable name, and the latest value. But if these values keeps increasing, then what you can do, right? It becomes Terraform apply -var value, -var value, -var value, -var value. How many values will provide? Even you will get confused, right? So for that reason, we have another way known as passing the file. How? Whatever the values that you wanted to override or keep all these values here. Instance type, variable name is equal to value, variable name is equal to value, variable name is equal to value. Keep all these things into a one file. You name it any file, anything. It's your wish. And while Terraform plan and apply, Terraform apply, and you pass that file. -var -file is equal to this file path. Wherever you stored this file, just you need to pass this file name. That's it. Okay, this we'll see in the coming class. Now I just don't want it to confuse you with the other things. There are other ways, like we have something called as tf.vars file, tf-vars file, auto.vars file. This we'll see in the upcoming class. This is kind of advanced thing. Okay. Now we'll discuss this later point of time. Now, let's say I wanted to create a 3 different resources. Okay. So this is my first resource. This is my second resource. And let me create another resource. I wanted to create 3 different EC2 instances. Fine. What is the operating system for this one? The operating system for this one is I'll use Red Hat as an operating system. For this one, I'll use Amazon Linux as my operating system. For this one, for this EC2 machine, I'll use Ubuntu as my operating system. So what is my requirement now? I wanted to create 3 EC2 machines with different operating systems in it. That is my requirement. Okay. So now what I'll do, what is the standard procedure that we usually follow? Now, after discussing a variable, see, we'll create one file known as main.tf file, right? In this main.tf file, I'll write the provider block, right? We'll see the practicals. First, I'm explaining you the theory part here. Okay. First, we'll create a provider block here. Then we'll start writing first resource. What is our first EC2 instance? This one, Ubuntu, right? So resource 1 is Ubuntu, and this resource consists of some AMI ID, then instance type, right? Now, for the AMI IDs and variables, we have another file known as variables.tf file. In this file, I'll start defining a variable, first variable known as Ubuntu AMI ID. Because AMI ID keeps changing for different operating system. I think you already know this, right? For Ubuntu, I'll create one variable name and I'll refer this. Okay. So this is for my first system. For second system, again, what I need to do? Again, I need to create one more resource block here. There is no space. Please adjust. There is one more resource block I'm going to create. Right? Again, there is an AMI ID and an instance type. Again, I need to create one more variable here. Correct? I need to create one more variable and I need to refer this variable. And similarly for the third resource as well. Third resource block is Red Hat resource block. Again, it will be having a AMI ID and an instance type, and it will refer the value from your third variable block. And obviously, fourth one is your instance type, right? This instance type also you need. So now, how many resources we are creating? We are creating three resources. For creating three resources, we have three different variables and one other variable known as instance type. And here we have one provider block and we have a three resource block, right? Let us practically do this and then we'll start our usual, right? So let me delete this first. Let's come back. 1 second. So let me start writing here first. Detail logged in. Here we have. Okay. First is provider, right? Provider. I think I have something here. Is this provider AMID second? There is some code already exists here, right? Provider AWS is from AWS instance, first instance. I'll call this instance as Ubuntu instance, Ubuntu, and then I'm not doing anything here as of now, right? And I'll create another resource known as the second machine as what is the second machine? It has a Amazon Linux with a different operating system, right? Again, I'll delete all these things, stuff here. Once we create a variable block, then we'll do it. Okay. Then I'm creating the third block here. What is this third block? It is for Red Hat. Red Hat. Right? Now, what I'll do, I'll create a one more. Just a second. What I'll do. Parallelly, we'll create. Okay. So now what I'll do, we'll create a variable. Variable, right? What is the variable name, sir? For first resource, is variable is for Ubuntu. Ubuntu, right? Then what is the AMI ID? Sorry, Ubuntu, and I'll call it as Ubuntu ID. Something like that. Any name. Ubuntu, then description. So description, it is not required, but you can use it. Ubuntu AMI ID. Then comes your default value, DEFAULT, default. And what is the default value? I need to provide the AMI ID. From where you will copy this AMI ID, just come here and launch instance. If you just select Ubuntu here, just select Ubuntu, come down here, you can able to see the Ubuntu AMI ID. Let's copy this, come back and paste it here. This is the AMI ID for my first Ubuntu machine for this block, right? How will you refer it here? This variable value. See, now I need to refer this value from here. I need to retrieve it from the variable block. How will you retrieve it? Using something called as var dot your variable name. What is my variable name? Ubuntu ID. This is my variable name. Just Ubuntu Ubuntu dot ID. Okay. Instance type I did not declare. We'll declare it. I'll call it as where dot instance or type or something. We need to create this variable. We'll create it. Okay. So this is my first variable. And what is the second variable I need to implement? The second variable is a Red Hat one or an Amazon Linux, right? Amazon Linux. And what is the AMI ID for Amazon Linux? Again, come back, select Amazon Linux here, and we'll get the OK confirm changes. Amazon Linux. Just see, this is my AMI ID for Amazon Linux. Copy, come back. See, just copy paste it here. I'm just repeating the steps, sir. Okay. Then how will you refer this value inside your Amazon Linux block here? Again, same thing. Var dot your variable name. What is my variable name? Amazon Linux. Right? Then this one I need to create. I'll var dot instance type. This is the same thing. Correct? Now it has been created. What is my third block now? My third block is third variable is the same thing. Red Hat one. Red Hat AMI. Right? Just copy this. Change this one. Okay, I did not change this. This is my Amazon Linux, right? Amazon. Just for a easy reference, Red Hat. Just come back again, copy the same thing, Red Hat. This is my Red Hat AMI ID. Just copy, come back, paste it here. Yeah, it is done. Now the same thing again, repeat. Just come down. Here you have a Red Hat var dot a Red Hat. And instance type is var dot instance type, right? That has been created. And the last variable is your instance type. I need to create variable instance type, right? Variable instance. Copy paste this. And what is the default? default default t2 dot micro. This is my default value. It is done. Now we have successfully created whatever the scenario that I explained to you, right? Let us execute this first. This is my main.tf file. Just select all the things, come back to your server, right? Here, cd, I think we have one file. Okay, cd Terraform. What is the first thing you need to do? Switch to sudo user, right? Then what is the thing here you need to do? vi main.tf. This is the file. We have some content. Delete this. Then insert whatever the value. Copy it. Okay. Paste. Save this. Again, repeat the same thing for your variables.tf. Okay. Just copy paste this part now. Control A, Control C. Sorry. Right. This one, just delete the existing part. Copy paste. Right. Now Terraform validate. Variable duplicate variable declaration. Where was already declared at variable.tf. Okay. It is okay. Vi variable dot. See, I'm not declaring. Yesterday somebody asked me, right? Can I declare two variable names with the same name? You are not allowed to declare, sir. Here, but this is the error. Okay. Insert a Red Hat. Just save this. Again, vi Terraform validate. Again var.ubuntu.idea. Where did I make a mistake? Yay, main dot. Yeah. Where it is shown that error? Just input variable has not been declared. This variable can be declared open to block. Why? Ubuntu ID. This is the name, right? I refer it as this one. Okay. vi main.tf Ubuntu underscore ID. Ubuntu underscore ID. Just say this. Terraform T. Okay, so everything looks good. Terraform plan. What does this Terraform do? It will show you what are the resources it is going to create before creating or before making the actual changes. And at the same time, it will also create a graph. Whatever the dependencies I explained you, right? I'll show you practically. When you do Terraform plan, it will create its own graph. Which resource has to be created first and which resource has to be created next. It will create that graph whenever you create this Terraform plan or execute this Terraform plan. That will see. Yeah, I did it, sir. Thank you. Okay, Terraform plan. Now, Terraform apply. Terraform apply hyphen auto hyphen approve. Right now, what happens? It will just create a different EC2 instances. Fine. See, there is no dependency between these things. Then how it is creating? It is what kind of dependency? It is a default dependency. It is creating all the resources in parallel. If you see here, right? Three resources have created. We have successfully created three different machines. If you come back here and see, these are the it is first mission, second mission, and third mission. It has successfully created three different missions. Right? See, now here, if you want a name, which block you need to include? This name, we use this name. So whatever the names of the point, this name, whatever the name we are using here, it is only for the internal communication purpose. I told you, right? There is something called as interpolation. If you want to read the values between from one resource block to another resource block, then you will use this name. If you want to provide a name that should be reflected here, then what do you need to use? You need to use a tag section. Do you remember? I showed you already. Tag section, tags is equal to name, that thing you need to use. Fine. So now, again, I'll destroy this infrastructure. Terraform destroy auto approve. Now, let us destroy the infrastructure first, then I'll come back. See, if you have created some S3 buckets while doing, if you remember, cross-region replication, if you remember those things, please delete those S3 buckets. This is because it's been almost 20 or 30 days. We discussed about S3 cross-region replication or something. I left those buckets just like that. It was costing me heavy price. It was costing me around, it was a huge amount, around $50 to $60. If you have created S3 buckets, please, like delete those buckets now. That too, if you are enabled cross-region replication, whatever the logs that you are getting from one region, and if it has been replicated in another region, it has generated almost 200 GB of logs every day. So that's why it costs more. Fine. So if you are created, please delete them. Now we have successfully deleted our infrastructure. But now the point here is, see, we have created the infrastructure. We have created 3 different machines, right? We have created 3 different machines with different AMI IDs. It has a different AMI, it has a different AMI ID, and this has a different AMI ID. But see, for each and every AMI ID, you need to create a different variable block, right? One variable block for this AMI ID, one variable block for this AMI ID, and one variable block for this AMI ID. So in total, you need to create 3 different variable blocks to store this value. If you see here, this is what we did, right? We have created 3 different variable blocks. But my question here is, see, instead of creating 3 variable blocks, I wanted to create one variable block. Or see, till now what we discussed, we have a variable known as AMI ID, and this AMI ID is capable of storing only one value at a time, right? And we used to create another variable section, right? Again, AMI ID, one more second value, and a third value. Now, if you see here, AMI ID, this AMI ID remains same, right? Can I call it as a variable, sorry, constant or a static value? And what is getting changed? These values. That means what I'm trying to explain you here as AMA ID. This will remain same. What are the values which are associated to this way AMA ID? That is Ubuntu, Amazon Linux, and Red Hat. These values are getting changed. So can I call a single variable is holding 3 different values, right? So now instead of creating 3 different variable blocks, what we need a variable which can store multiple values in it. Let me repeat. Now, instead of creating multiple variables unnecessarily, what we need a one variable which can store multiple values using single variable name. This is the requirement. Now, if you ask me, sir, can we implement this? Yes, you can implement this. So that is the reason I showed you how to create all these variables. Okay, so now let us do the same thing with the help of one variable and storing the multiple values. So we have a variable known as list. Okay, what is this list? List is used to store multiple values. List is used to store multiple values with a single variable name. This is the first use case. Let me write it down here. Use it to store multiple values. It's very simple, very easy. This is the first point. How to create a list? Using square brackets. Using square brackets, we are going to create a list. Okay, what is the next point? How to store the values inside square bracket you mention all your AMI ID, AMI ID 1, and each value must be separated by comma. AMI ID 2, AMI ID 3, right? This is how you can able to store the multiple values, and each value must be separated by comma. And next part is how to access these values. You can access these values. Let me delete this. 1 second. I'll write it down here. See how to access these values. When you can access these values using a concept called as indexing. If you don't know what is indexing, it is very simple. See, you can, for each and every value internally, there is a number associated with. The first value is associated with 0, second value is associated with 1, and third value is associated with 2. So these values, we call it as a indexes. Index always starts from 0. Please remember this. What is the index of first value? Index of first value is 0. What is the index of 10th value? If you see, just reduce one value from 10. What is the index of 10? The index of 10 is 9. What is the index of 100? The index of 100 is 99. What is the index of 1000? 1000 value, the index of 1000 is 999. One value lesser than to the actual value. So that is how you can able to access the values which are present inside your list. Okay. So let me do this. So how to access the values in a list using a concept known as indexing. Okay, let me repeat this. What is what is a list? List is used to store the multiple values using a single variable name. How to create a list? Using a square brackets. How to store the values? Using double quotes or whatever, and each value must be separated by comma. And how to access those values? By accessing those values using indexing. Right? So see, same thing. There is no difference. How you are accessing variables? Var dot variable name. Same thing. But in square brackets, you are going to mention your index number. That's it. Same, however, you are accessing your variable, same thing. But additional part here is inside square brackets, you are going to mention 0, 1, 2, whatever the value that you want. Okay. So now let us do this practically. Just a second. Yes. Okay. See now, what I'll do instead of creating here only, I can do the modification. Okay. What I'll do here, I'll remove all this IDs. I'll just keep copy paste these IDs first. This is a ID for my Amazon Linux. Control C. I'm just copy pasting this ID and I'm deleting this. Again, I'll do the same thing for Amazon Linux. Control C, Control V, and delete this. Okay. So now, see what I'll do here. First, I'll create a variable name, whatever the variable you want. I'll create something called as AMI ID or image ID or something. Okay. Now you can provide the description, all AMI IDs or something. Now you can use another value here known as type. This is not mandatory. You can directly create, but just to show you or standard practice, we always mention what is the type of variable that you are creating. What is the type of variable that I'm creating? It is a list type. Now, how to create a list? Using a square bracket. Using square bracket, you 1 second. I need to copy this value, right? I want this value. Control C. I'll paste it here. Then remove this. Okay. Using square bracket, start writing the values. Double quotes. Control V. This is my first value. Then comma. This is my second value. Control C. Control V. Then comma. This is my third value. So this is how you can able to store multiple variable values into a single value. Single variable name is holding multiple values here. Instead of creating all these three things we created, right? You remember? Now, how to refer these values? Just come back. Where is this? 1 second. See, now we have created a variable known as image ID, which is holding all these values, and this is of list type. Correct? Now, how to refer these values? This is my Ubuntu image ID, this is my Amazon Linux ID, and this is my Red Hat ID. Right? How to refer it here? Just come here, variable dot var dot variable name image -id, and which one I need? I need the first AMI, right? This one. What is the index associated with that? Index is 0. That's it. Okay. Just repeat the same thing for other things also. Here, I'll come here, copy paste, and what is the image ID you want? I want the first thing. This is my Amazon Linux, right? Now just come back here. Again, repeat the same thing. This is my, 2. 2 is my, this one, right? So now, this is it. Just copy paste this thing first. Main.tf, vi main.tf. I'll delete this. Insert. How to delete? I think you already know. Double D. Save this. Come back to vi variables.tf. Copy paste this. Right? Okay. Control A, Control C. This is the thing. See, instead of creating this much stuff, unhealthy shit here, you can copy paste the new thing here in a small thing. Just save this now and Terraform validate. Success. Terraform plan. What Terraform plan will do? It will show you what are the actual resources it will create before making the actual changes. And at the same time, I told you, it will create a graph. Whatever the dependencies, whatever the resources it will create, that graph it will create. I'll show you how it will create this graph in the coming classes. Okay. So now Terraform apply -auto -approve. That's this one, right? Now why it is taking time? Okay. See, it has started creating with a default dependency here. Correct? So let it create. The point here is, instead of creating multiple variables to store a single value. What we have done here, instead of creating one variable, Ubuntu as a one variable, Amazon Linux as a one variable, then Red Hat as a one variable. Each variable is capable of holding only one value, storing one value. Now, what is my requirement? Instead of creating three different variables to store single values, I wanted to create one variable name which is capable of storing multiple values. That is what my requirement is. If you wanted to fulfill this requirement, what is the first option you have? First option is list. What list will do? With the help of single variable name, it is capable of storing multiple values. That is the thing here. If you see, okay, that's why we have created all the lists here. Okay, so let us come back whether it has created. Yes, see, you see here, it has successfully created three different EC2 instances with the different AMI IDs. Same thing. Instead of writing that much big lengthy code, what we have done, we have created within a single block. If you see here, right? So this is the advantage of using list. Okay, sir, any doubts still here from anyone? Okay. So the next thing here is next variable. We have something called as, let me open this first. We have another variable type known as, see, first one we had a list. Second one we have something called as map. Okay. So what is list? It is also used to store multiple values. What is map? Map is also store multiple values. How we are storing the values in list? How will you define a list first? Using the square brackets. Same thing. How will you define a map? Using something curly braces. Okay, just a reference, nothing much. Then how you can able to store the values here? Can able to store the values directly, right? And once first value, second value, something like this. But here, how we are going to store the values? Using something called as key value pairs. So what is this key value pair? First, what is my requirement? Ubuntu is my key. And what is the value associated with it? That value. What is the second value? Second one is Red Hat and whatever the value associated with it. And third one is, what is that? Amazon Linux, colon, whatever the value associated. So this is how you can create your map variable. Instead of directly storing this value, you can create its key and a value. Fine. And the next thing here is just deleting this or erasing, right? Okay. How to access the values in list? Using a concept known as indexing. How to access the values in map? Same, using, you can retrieve the values using a key value, this name. Whatever the name that you mentioned here, using that name, you can retrieve the value. For example, var dot variable name, and you are going to mention the index here, right? In list. Here, what you will do, same thing, var dot variable name and your key value, same square brackets. Within square brackets, you are going to mention whatever the key associated with it. That's it. There is no much difference. Okay. See, the major difference here between list and map, these are the major differences. Okay. First, let us practically do map, then I'll tell you one more difference, when to use what. Okay, I'm just deleting this. Now, where is this? 1 second. Variables, right? I'll just copy paste till here, Control C. I'm creating one more block. Now, what is the type of variable? Type of variable is map, right? The same all image IDs again I'm creating, but with the help of map variable. Okay, how to create a map variable using your curly braces. Curly braces, and it consists of key value pairs. The first key is Ubuntu is equal to whatever the value associated with your Ubuntu. This is my Ubuntu ID, right? Just copy paste the whole thing, Control C, and paste it. Comma, whatever the second value associated with it, again just do the same. Second one is my Amazon Linux, I guess. Amazon Linux. This is my key. Sorry, you should not use is equal to here. You should use colon. Okay, please remember colon and whatever the ID associated with it. Let me copy paste this. Control C. Come back and paste. I think there are two things here. Then what is the third one? Third one is your red hat. Red hat and colon and whatever the ID associated with it, just copy paste it. Control C. Right now, my map variable is ready. This is closed. This part is closed. We need to close this, right? Close this. Now my variable is ready. I'll just copy paste this one. Instance type, just to not the mess, create a mess here. Now my variable is ready. Correct? Just come back. How to refer it here? 1 second. I'll show you this also. See, now we have successfully created our map variable. Okay. Now how to refer this value inside my main.tf file? Same thing, sir. Nothing. Variable dot, see, this is my Ubuntu. Variable dot variable name, and inside your square bracket, you need to mention your key value, whatever associated with it. Here, the key value for Ubuntu is again Ubuntu. And the key value for Amazon Linux is again Amazon Linux, right? This name, where is this name? Here. Key value pair. That name you need to mention here. Nothing much difference, right? Just come back and red hat. Instead of 2, you use this red hat. Control C and Control V. Now everything will remain same. Just okay. We are not into server, right? Just copy, Control A, Control C, come back to your server. Just clear this vi main.tf, right? Just delete everything from here. Even if you want, you can create multiple files. I have no issues, but just not to create the confusion, I'm doing it only for the one file. Right? Just save this. Then come to variables.tf file and delete everything from here. Come back here. What is this? This is the thing. Control A, Control C. Come back, insert, paste, done. Terraform validate. Okay, success. Terraform plan. No need of plan. Terraform apply. Hyphen auto. Hyphen approve. Wait. See, it has started creating the resources. Just because there are no changes to our infrastructure, it is not creating those changes. See, can you able to see this? With the same name, with the same ID, same everything. There are no changes. So that's why it is not creating it. No changes. Your infrastructure is already up to date. Fine. Now, this is how you can able to use map variable. And now, what is the difference between list and map? I already told you multiple values. It is also used to store multiple values. It is declared inside square bracket. It is declared inside curly braces. How you will access these values? Using something called as indexing. How will it will work? Sorry, one second. So how you can able to store the values here? Here you are storing the values using a concept known as key value pairs. Here you just separate each value by comma and you can able to store the values. How to access the values here? Here using indexing concept. Here how to access the values using a key name. Using a key name, you can able to access those values. Right? These are the things that we discuss. The major thing, one more point here is when to use list and when to use map. Okay. So when to use list, see, if there are variables, a small set of values, there are small set of values, then your list is preferable. Let's say if there are only 10 to 20 variables that you wanted to store in a single variable name, at that time, list is preferable. When to use map? If there are huge number of values, if there are huge number of values that you wanted to store inside a single variable name, then map is preferable. Okay, this is the thing, when to use list and when to use map. When to use list, if there are small set of values, only few values or 10 or 20 values you need to store and use it, then at that time list is preferable. When to use map? If there are huge number of values you need to store in a single variable name, at that time your map is preferable. Okay, so this is the major difference between your list and map. Fine. So any doubt here, sir, for anyone? Okay. So yeah. Yeah, yesterday already I uploaded two videos, third video and fourth video. Today also I'll upload. Okay, you can just go through that video also. No issues. Fine. So, sir, here there are two screens. What there are multiple people joining in, but you will not be able to see that. That's it. Okay. Somebody asked me one question. So yeah, there are two accounts integrated here. One account we have some people, in another account also we have some people. Some people or other things, right? No problem. Next is okay. So what we discussed today? Today we learned a new concept known as list and map. What are these things? Sir, Lenovo, somebody is using this. Please close it. Okay. Yeah. So list and map. list and map are the variables. When to use this? If you wanted to store multiple values, then with a single variable name, then you will go for these values. Okay, we have a clear discussion on variables. So there are two more variables we left. One is local variable. Last one is output variable. These are very simple. No worries on this. The major variables are list and map. These are the two major variables, sir. This locals and output, it's very simple. You will use it. Okay. This is also very simple, but very important. Right? So, sir, the next thing what I wanted to do was, see, I want you to go back and create a VPC, write a small script, VPC. In this VPC, I want one public subnet and one private subnet. Otherwise, do one thing, don't create a private subnet, just create a public subnet, two public subnets. Okay, this is a one task for you. You need to go back, you need to write a main.tf file and one variable.tf file. Okay, and here whatever the things that you need to mention, please go through that. This is the one task for you. And the second task here is, what is the second thing? I want you to go through something called as, just read about this taint, untaint, and Terraform refresh. I'll explain this anyway, but just go through these things once. Okay, so this is the assignment for you guys. And one more thing, based on the requests from so many of you, there will be no class till Monday. Sir, I understand some people want the class. Some people, we know that they're married and they have kids to take care. So there are no exceptions for them, right? So just for based on the request from few of you, it is a holiday from tomorrow onwards to Monday. It is a 4 days holiday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Will continue from Monday onwards. Fine. So that's why just create VPC and whatever the things. So this is going to be your last holiday until and unless I take the class, right? For Terraform and Ansible. Whatever the things you left with your AWS, your Git and GitHub is fine. It's already done. If you are left any concept in AWS, please go through this. Okay. So that is the other thing I just wanted to tell you. So any questions, sir? Anyone? Are you able to follow up with Terraform?
Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Yeah, yesterday I was checking that the Terraform in the some notes in the Google. So they have mentioned in the Ingress also.
Yeah, no,
So,
no, don't worry, don't worry. Ingress will come in your Kubernetes, not here.
but in the
Okay.
Terraform script also he
Yeah,
mentioned
yeah,
Ingress.
yeah, yeah. You'll create a Kubernetes cluster with the help of Terraform.
Oh,
Okay.
okay,
So
okay,
at that time you learn, sir. No worries. Don't worry
oh,
about what is Ingress, what it will do.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
You are going to create your Kubernetes cluster with the help of Terraform.
Mm,
Kubernetes cluster is also one infrastructure, just like your EC2. Just like you're
oh,
providing AMI ID here, right? There you need to
mm-hmm,
provide Ingress ID, node port, something like that.
okay,
Okay. Don't worry about that. We'll learn. Please
okay,
upload project on AWS. Sir, you will get it, sir. No worries. I'll start recording. In these 4 days, I'll start uploading at least 2 videos. I have some pending list with me, whatever the things that I wanted to show you. I'll upload all those things into YouTube. No worries. Right? Just you need to wait for some time. See, Terraform, it's very easy, right? You just need to relate the things, whatever the flow that I'm going now. First, I explained you what is Terraform. Then slowly I introduced you to how to create the infrastructure. Then what are dependencies? Then what are variables? Just like that. See, now we have created two files. One is main.tf file. Another one is variable.tf file. In the upcoming classes, we'll also create other kinds of files. Slowly, I'll keep increasing. That is why I am asking you to please go through these things. If you don't know these basics, then talking these things is useless, right? So that is the reason I'm telling. Okay. So that's it from my end. Happy Deepavali to everyone and have a great day and happy festival. Thank you.
Same to you. Thank you.
Thank you.